Hey guys, welcome to the show. This is Ralphie. Today's date is Thursday, 17th of September 2020. Auckland and the rest of New Zealand has now reverted back to level 2 lockdown. We were in level 2.5, but yay, we get the 0.5 back, so now we're at level 2. I just wanted to skim read some of the news that and get my insights on it. Whether it be accurate or not, this is just an opinion video. I am just building an opinion. So here we go. I actually ripped out some newspaper clippings I found off the Herald from the coffee table that no one was reading. But this is from yesterday, 16th September. And right on page 1, it goes to show about how Peters, one of the or the NZ First Leader party leader Peters, warns of malicious actors after Kiwis, including his family, were tracked by a firm tied to the Chinese military. So that's on page 1, and I just found that really interesting, so I decided to rip it out. But I'll read further, just for log sake. But here we go. So the Deputy Prime Minister, again this is Peters, so he's Deputy Prime Minister. He is warning that malicious actors are exploiting Kiwis' private information after his daughter was targeted and tracked by a firm with ties to the Chinese military. The families of Winston Peters and other senior politicians, including Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, have also been in the Chinese big data companies' sites. And then it goes further down. Our New Zealand politicians are being targeted on a grand scale, and what else does it say? There are malicious actors out there seeking to profit from trafficking private information, and people need to protect themselves. Interesting. So more than 250,000 listings in the company's 2.4 million strong overseas key information database, apparently built with open source information, were leaked to Chris Boulding, a US academic. See there? Open source information. What do you think that is? That thing's like social media, guys. Watch what you post. What else does it say? So I'm just gonna bring that close to see if you want to zoom in or something, or pause it. I don't know how clear that is. But yeah, that's on page 1 of the Herald. Now, you know my opinion about the Herald. I think it's a mouthpiece for the government. So I'm always a bit wary when it's like front page, you know. And I've got a theory why it is on front page. So this is on page A6 now, that sort of continues from the main article. The personal information of hundreds of New Zealanders collected by a subsidiary of a Chinese military state-owned enterprise would have required detailed knowledge of New Zealand's political landscape. The data set is a window into the grand scale of the Chinese Communist Party. That's the first time I've seen that term, CCP, in the Herald. What I do with these articles, I find that it kind of sandwiches the main information, so it gives you a bit of a grab at the start. You know, that's how reporters get a spin, you know, grab your attention, and then it sort of goes into finer details, which is not so important, and then it concludes at the end. So I always read the top and tail of the article, because I don't want to make this video about me just reading an article, but let me just see if there's anything at the end here. Private information available on health files could be used by the CCP government to blackmail prominent individuals. It could also be used to establish a profile on people in Wellington who have a security clearance to determine their personal habits, health weaknesses, home address, and phone numbers. China's government has the world's greatest number of personnel engaged in intelligence gathering, counterintelligence, and espionage. The intelligence agencies follow a very broad approach to covert activities. This makes counterintelligence very challenging. New Zealand, like many states, is now facing up to the impact of CCP covert activities on the integrity of our political system, and in the process, making a correction in relations with China. Top priority is to update legislation on electoral financing, set up protocols around conflicts of interest for central and local government, and overall our out-of-date China strategy. I remember last election, Peters was actually warning Kiwis in advance of things like Chinese investment into property. He was one of the people trying to spearhead the Kiwi Build thing, so was Labour. And if you remember, Jacinda Ardern actually became pregnant, and obviously while giving birth to the baby she had to hand the reins over to Peters. And so both Labour and NZ First actually did a joint venture, and Peters got to drive for a while Jacinda Ardern was delivering the baby. But yeah, at the last election, so 4 years ago, it's 2020 now, but 4 years ago, at the last election, they were warning of basically Chinese investment into things like New Zealand property, hence they wanted to. The original idea with Kiwi Build was it was an entryway for first home buyers to get into the market. For the first time you could actually take out funds from your KiwiSaver to help with the deposit, and the idea was that first homes, especially from Peter's point of view back then, was to make it around 300,000, 350,000 to make it affordable. Fast forward now, I think they were, as part of their rally, they wanted to make something like 10,000 homes, something like that. But they only, fast forward to 2020, they only made a handful, around about 18, I believe. And definitely not at that price point. It's more like an average of 600,000 New Zealand dollars. So, the reason I mention this is that was part of their rally back in last election, is housing was a main issue. And so they've known about money laundering and things like that since then. And obviously a lot of economies around the Commonwealth cannot keep on going without money laundering, especially into housing. So they knew about it. They've known about this for a long time, and this is my theory. It is a theory. This is my theory as to why articles like this coming to election. So September now, the election was postponed by a month. It was meant to be this month, but now it's next month. The reason why I believe that they are finally unveiling the curtain, as so to say, on the front page of the Herald, I believe it's to cover their backs, because there are a lot of alternative parties now leading to this new election. And it'll be interesting to see, it'll be a very important election, I reckon, but it'll be very interesting to see what the New Zealand public vote for, because we've always been a majority in previous elections, sort of a two-party horse with Labour and National. But now a lot of people are seeing through that facade, and yeah, there's just a lot more alternative options this time round with the election. And you've got people like Advanced New Zealand who are looking, calling for transparency and calling for basically like royal commissions into previous PMs in New Zealand, and how they basically run the country while they were in power. For example, John Key, wow, House of Maryland, is it Maryland Bank? He borrowed a lot of money during his term, in the space of 2 years, and now with Labour, with this unexpected COVID thing, they actually borrowed more money than National in 1 month than National borrowed in 2 years. So there's a lot of pressure. It's billions of dollars that we need to pay back as taxpayers of the future. But this is what I'm thinking. Do you think that this is just this? I mean, they're basically putting it out in the open now to cover their backs, because a lot of this article is basically, it's not saying that the Chinese CCP is targeting everyday New Zealanders, which I guarantee they are, but no, they're talking about New Zealand politicians in particular. What do you think of my thoughts? There is a term I learnt today. That explains this in detail, and I'll do a snippet of the video, but there's a YouTube channel called China Uncensored, and they talk about, it's in a book called Hidden Hand, Reshaping the World, and they talk about it in the video, which I'll make a snippet of. But they talk of the term elite capture. I might just play the video now, just so you can get an insight of some of what's happening right now, and then I'll add further comments after the video.
Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. The Chinese Communist Party has spent years infiltrating liberal democracies around the world. And one reason they've been so successful is their use of elite capture. That is, targeting influential people to bring over to their side.
Wall Street globalist billionaires or top executives have developed close relationships with top Communist Party leaders over many years. And so when senior Communist Party leaders arrive in the United States, for example, to undertake trade negotiations, the first thing they do is meet with these top globalist billionaires from Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and BlackRock and so on.
Here we go. Auckland is now in level 2. The government's going to make an announcement in a couple of days to see whether they change their mind. And if they do, changes will be announced in 23rd of September, which is in about 6 days' time. Comment below. This is a very quick video. I just wanted to talk to you about that term, elite capture. Do you have anything to add? Let me know.